Hi everyone, welcome to the English to Takeaway podcast. This is episode 7. My name is Richard. I'm a content creator and English language teacher known as the Grammar Goat on social media, and I'm in the UK. And my co-host is...
My name is Jordan, and I am also a content creator. You may have seen some of my videos through my social handle, English Lingo or English Lingo with Jordan. I am also an English teacher as well, and I live in the Philippines, but I am from the UK, of course. So, yeah. I want to basically ask the same question as we always start off with, Richard. How has your week been, and what have you been up to this past week?
Yeah, my week's been okay, thanks, Jordan. Yeah, it's been good. I went up to London
Oh,
on one day to see my son, and we went to one of our favourite haunts, Brick Lane in
yes.
East London, and went to some of the thrift shops, some of the second-hand clothes shops. Yeah, so it was very, very nice. I
Can I ask a question about the thrift shop, actually?
yeah, sure.
Uh, is that where you got the wig from?
It wasn't actually. It wasn't actually. Um, so the thrift shops are more for my son. He's really
Right.
into fashion, and yeah, he really likes going and trying on jackets and clothes. So I
Mm,
kind of go along as to give him a second opinion and tell him how he looks and if he looks
yep.
good or if he looks bad. Um, so yeah, so no, I didn't buy the wig in in one of the
Uh,
thrift shops.
for anyone that's like listening and wondering what I'm talking about, is that Richard did a short video, a reel the other day, and in a segment of that reel, he was wearing quite a lot of hair, a wig, which was brilliant. I thought it was fantastic. So, yeah, I love that part. I thought it was really good.
Oh, cheers, Jordan. Yeah, funnily enough, I used to have long blonde hair in my
Wow,
youth
really?
when
Wow.
I was in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s. I did
Right.
have long locks of wavy blonde hair before I lost it all and I went bald. So yeah,
I see.
I kind of made the most of having hair, I think, by growing it
Yes.
long. Um, yeah, but no, the wig, I know that you like the wig. You've commented on the wig a couple of times. I'll have to wear the wig on an episode of the pod one week.
I think you should. I think it'll be a good addition for one episode. Yeah, we can incorporate that wig into one of our role plays. I think that'll be a really fun a fun exercise to dress up in a part that you can use the wig for.
So we're raising the bar now, aren't we, with the role
Yeah.
play section? But we're going to start dressing up, costumes, wigs, makeup. Um,
It's going to be a full on production with like makeup artists and everything in the end.
I guess just to explain the format of the podcast,
Yes.
we always have a chat about what we've done. We talk about news stories that we've seen online or that we've read, and we do a role play as well. Sometimes connected to the news story, or sometimes a suggestion from one of you, someone that's been watching or listening. And then at the end of the pod, we do a section called English to Take Away, where we'll feed back to you some of the language that we think is useful, that has come up, that has arisen during the podcast. So yeah, I'm really excited again to see what beautiful English language expressions come up
Yes.
during the episode.
But actually, that's slightly different today in the terms of we're gonna not give the five vocabulary or phrases. We're actually going to extend it and double that, we're going to look at 10 um, vocabulary points or phrases that come up during the podcast, and kind of dive a little bit deeper into the meanings and how to use them, of course, because we think that that is a very valuable part of what we do, and it's quite unique as well. So we want to kind of extend it and give back a little bit more so that you guys can learn and use them in your conversations. And don't be afraid to use the phrases or vocabulary that you hear us using as well. Like that's the whole point, is for you guys to practice it whenever and wherever you're speaking English as well. So yeah, it's good. I like the format. I think it's I think the new format is going to be fun and enjoyable for everybody.
Yeah, especially if we're adding wigs and makeup and costumes to the it's unbelievable. Um, One thing I guess I could tell you about in London that was quite
Yes.
interesting. So, whenever I go to London, I always like to try out a new coffee shop to sit and have a coffee.
Hmm.
And yeah, I went to a really interesting coffee shop called the Nude Coffee Roasters.
Mm.
Don't worry, no one was nude. Everyone was fully dressed, so it was all good. But it was an interesting coffee shop. I walked in. It was a small establishment, and there were two big long tables.
Mm.
And I didn't think anything of it, and I sat down at one of the tables and got my coffee, and I was doing a bit of work, and a big group of tourists came into the coffee shop, and of course there was sort of nowhere to sit apart from at my table. So suddenly I was surrounded, and I became part of this group of Italian tourists, all
There you
sitting
go.
with me, having a coffee, chatting together. It was amazing. It was very very nice. Because
Okay.
of course, in most coffee shops that I go to, the popular chain of coffee shops I go
Yeah.
to, you have small tables and you just sit on your own, or you sit with the person that you're with, and you
Yes.
don't sit next to a stranger, and you don't interact with a stranger. So it was a really really interesting coffee shop experience. So I was going
Oh,
to ask you,
cool.
Jordan, in the Philippines,
Mm.
is there a big coffee culture like there is in the UK, and what are the coffee shops like near you?
Nice. Yes, it is the answer that coffee is extremely popular here, but there there's a huge gulf in difference in quality and prices depending where you go. And funnily enough, there's actually a really interesting place not too far away from where we live, about 10 minutes up the mountain, actually. It's a coffee plantation. And they have the plantation, but also they have their coffee house, or where they basically process the coffee, and you can actually sample and drink their coffee from where the coffee plantation is. Um, so that's really cool. I've never experienced it before, and we went there a couple of months ago, and yeah, it's wonderful. It's really, really amazing, actually. And yeah, I think something like that, something unique and interesting, is always memorable, and it's something that you're not really going to get in many other places, of course. So yeah, it's a fun experience, actually.
Oh wow! How about the coffee in the Philippines? Because in the UK now, in coffee shops, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's more or less the same as the last time you were in the UK. There are so many different types of coffee. You've got a cappuccino, a latte, a flat white, a mocha chocochino, soy milk, dairy free, lactose free. The gluten free. There's so much choice now. It's Pretty
Yeah.
crazy, actually. How about in the Philippines? Tell me about a typical sort of cup of coffee that you'd get.
I think it's going in the direction of the typical, uh, Western style as well. So we do have Starbucks, which is down on like the Boulevard area, which is into the main city area. But around us, we've got a lot of like restaurants and bar type places, and a lot of tourists go there. So they cater for those tourists, and as you mentioned, you get a lot of like cappuccinos. Um, you can get a latte, a matcha latte, and soy milk, oat milk, almond milk. Yeah, I think for some people who are not used to that, it must be an absolute nightmare to go and be asked, "What kind of milk do you want?" Just milk. Like some people probably in some countries are not used to having all of those options, and yeah, it's I think it must be daunting that you're asked so many questions just to get a cup of coffee.
Exactly, and also I mean the name thing in Starbucks is quite annoying, isn't it? Do you have that where you have to give your name and then they shout
Yes.
your name out? That
Yes.
can be quite annoying as well for me.
Ah, that's one thing that I've just remembered from our trip to Cebu the other week. So I had to go and sit in a little coffee shop area um, to do one of my lessons. I was still teaching while I was over there, so I set up everything and whatnot. I went and got, I went and ordered what I wanted, bearing in mind I am the only person in this little coffee shop. They still ask me for my name. And I'm thinking, who else is gonna who else is gonna take what I ordered? Like, do you I didn't say that, of course. I gave my name straight away without hesitation, but in my mind I'm thinking, is it necessary? Do I really need that? Like, are you going to confuse me with anyone else here? Like, I just yeah, I couldn't see the point in it, to be honest. Yeah, very strange.
It's I didn't realize actually that the place that you live is quite touristy.
Yes, so we get a lot of divers. We're very close to like coral reefs and dive spots around here. So yeah, we've got a lot of hotels like along the beach area either side of us, and yeah, a lot of tourists. They come around probably beginning of November time. They start coming, and there will be quite a lot of tourists from now until probably around April, May time, something like that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
the the coffee culture thing. Anyway, I really fancy a coffee now. Actually, it's early morning here in the UK. So
yes.
yeah, I'll have my morning coffee after we record, I guess.
I miss my morning coffees. I would love to have a coffee, to be honest, because we brought our coffee machine from Japan to the Philippines, and we can't use it because the voltages are completely different. So in Japan, they use a much lower voltage, whereas in the Philippines, they use a much higher. I think Japan is like 110. Philippines is like 200, 220 or something. So you can't plug it in, otherwise you'll just set fire to the whole thing. Um, so yeah, I've not been able to make my regular like fresh coffee, where it grinds it for you and you actually have a fresh pot of coffee. And yeah, I miss it. I miss that a lot.
Don't you go down to the boulevard, as you say, down to the coffee shops down there, or is it a bit too far to walk in the morning?
That's the city area, so that would take me about 25 minutes drive. Yeah, so I I've only been to the Starbucks down there once actually. And as always, Starbucks is very overpriced. It's in every country, it's extremely expensive, of course. But I must admit, I don't know whether you agree with this one, and I wonder if other people agree, other listeners. Do you think McDonald's coffee is good?
I do actually, yeah, I do. Especially in Poland, they have the
Really?
McCafe, yeah, and McDonald's McCafe in Poland is amazing and a lot
Yeah,
cheaper as well than the other, Starbucks and the other chains. So yeah, I do like McDonald's coffee. What about you?
absolutely. Yeah, and the reason I asked that is because I remember a survey that was conducted in Japan. They were asking people, what coffee do you like? Do you like Starbucks? Do you like there's another chain called Dotor, um and 7-Eleven coffee, McDonald's, and actually I think McDonald's came out on top, which was extremely surprising. But for the price point and the quality, I agree. I think it's really, really good. I'm a big fan of McDonald's coffee. If you're out and about and you need to get one, I think McDonald's coffees are probably one of the best to get actually, because of the price and the quality is good value for money.
Nice, nice expression. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess you know what to ask Santa for Christmas, don't you? You need to ask Santa for a new coffee machine.
Coffee machine, or one of those transformer things to transform the the voltage into a higher voltage.
That might be a bit cheaper, actually. You should maybe think about that. Absolutely. Oh, brilliant. How
Maybe.
about you, Jordan? What have you been up to this week?
Um, Nothing much really. I've been doing a heap of teaching, recording, but consistently going to the gym, which has been,
Well done.
it's such a world of difference it's made to sort of my everyday outlook and the way in which I'm sort of feeling and mood wise and things like that. It's it's awesome. I'm really enjoying it. That's the thing. I find it enjoyable to go there. I enjoy, um, you know, while I'm working out, and then I also, on my days off, I'm kind of excited to go the next day, for example. So yeah, I'm definitely getting into the swing of things and really enjoying it. Actually, it's nice.
That's really good. I'm really pleased to hear that. Are you doing any sort of stuff with an instructor there, or are you doing everything on your own?
Yeah, that's a thing. I was going to think about doing like personal training, because I believe it's quite reasonable. Again, trying to think, if I'm doing the conversions to pounds. I think it's about £30 for 10 sessions. I think.
Really?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
About Must be about 30. Yes, about £30 for I think about 10 sessions. Yes.
That
Um,
that sounds incredible value, doesn't it, for money? That sounds amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
each session is 1 hour as well. Yeah.
Wow.
But I haven't as of yet. I'm sticking to kind of an old routine that I used to do back when I was 20 or so. So I'm kind of using those ones again, and yeah, they seem to be okay. I'm now not wasting time in the gym. I don't know about yourself. I just want to get in there, do my stuff, and get out, and that's it. I just want to focus on basically the quality and not be in there for any length of period sort of that I need to over what I need to. Basically, I don't want to waste my time. Yeah. How about yourself? Are you usually in there for a long time, or do you try to keep your workouts quite short?
Yeah, so I try to keep my workouts quite short, but I don't know whether that's just because I'm consciously doing that or because I'm more tired now. I'm getting older and don't have the same sort of level of motivation, and I don't have my raging beast pre-workout well to fuel my sessions. So when I go training with my eldest son, I tend to stay a bit longer because he's more into his training than I am, and he's a
Yeah,
lot younger as well. So, but my sessions tend to be under an hour. I'm sort of
yeah,
in and out under an hour, which suits
absolutely.
my routine as well, suits my day. It doesn't impact too much on my day if I do that.
Yeah, I think mine are around 45 to 50 minutes. I think. Yeah,
Oh,
um,
really good.
and that I find that enough. I'm I'm suitably knackered by the end of that. To be honest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting
Yeah.
you said that you're doing the same workout as when you were 20. So it's really good that as we're getting a bit older, you're still able to do the same things as when you were younger. That's very, very good.
Minus a couple of things, yes. Yeah, there's a caveat in there. Like, yes, I can do most of the workout that I did, but minus there's a couple of things that I've not attempted to touch yet. I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe in a couple of months I might try it, but at the moment I'm good.
No, exactly. I'm the same as you. My workout, I have to change it. I have to train around any injuries that I get or any aches
Yes.
and pains that I get. I don't know. Getting older, sometimes I'll just wake up in the morning and my neck. I'll just have an incredible pain in my neck. I won't be able to twist my neck just for no reason, and
Yeah,
so I have to then think about and train around that at the gym. Whereas when I was in my
absolutely.
20s, you just wake up, jump out of bed, no problems.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm specifically not I'm not training any legs at the moment or anything like that just because um it's taken me 2.5 months to recover from practically um ligament damage in my ankle. So I don't want to put any heavy weights on my ankle or anything like that, and I'm just refraining from doing any leg workouts or anything like that. So mine is purely upper body at the moment. But I will do light workouts eventually, but I'm not interested in doing anything too crazy on the legs, to be honest. Just simply because I don't want to aggravate any old injuries. So that's the main reason for me. But yeah, speaking of age, actually, you brought up a really interesting point there of young and old. Um, we had a little bit of a chat about this, but I wanted to bring it up about the fight between Jake Paul and Iron Mike Tyson, of course. Um, the result, of course, has it's already happened. We know the result. We can talk about that in a moment. But what did you think about it when it was announced and they started promoting it and everything? Like, what was your feeling about this young guy, 27, fighting an legend, an old legend of 58?
Yeah, so I was very, very skeptical from the start about the whole fight, and it was
Yeah.
interesting actually to like compare my view of it with my kids' view of it. So there was
Mm.
so much hype, wasn't there,
Yeah.
around the fight and the power of social media promotion and social media marketing is quite incredible. So there was so much hype around it, but I watched with my son, with my middle son, the documentary on Netflix about the build up to the fight. Did you see that? It was a 3 episode documentary.
No, I didn't actually watch the documentary. Well, I wasn't really aware that there was a documentary. So yeah, that sounds interesting. What was it like?
Well, it was interesting how obviously they had edited it to to show both men in training, and undeniably they were both training very, very hard. But at the end of the day, Mike Tyson is 58 years old. 58 years old. So they kept showing the same sequence in the documentary of his, his famous uppercut that
Yeah.
he used to have. They kept showing a sequence when he was on the pads with his trainer and he was
Mm.
doing a punch combo, finishing with an uppercut. And they just kept showing that. And I was a bit skeptical, thinking, well, this has been edited very cleverly to show him like he used to be in his prime, but
Yeah.
is he really, at 58, is he going to be able to punch like I don't know, Jake Paul's what, 20, mid 20s?
27.
So he's kind of in his prime, isn't he now, in terms of his strength and
Yeah.
fitness,
Yeah,
Jake?
he's moving into like I think the boxers like golden age is around 28 or 29, they say. So yeah, he's moving into that era of like physical um peak physicality, and he's going to probably get a bit stronger, and skill set's going to get better, of course. And yeah, it's I think when I looked at it, I was always worried from the fact that the age difference is such a massive factor in all of this. It doesn't matter about the skills that one possesses, or the power that you have as well. I just think that the age difference. They have this saying in boxing: "Father Time is unbeaten," and you can't argue with that. Basically, the time, your age, is always going to catch up to you at some point. And I when I saw the fight being announced, I was very skeptical from that point of view and thinking, okay, that's a massive difference. If it was two, 50 something year olds fighting, no problem. I think it was kind of cool. But 27 and 58, no, that's yeah, far too big a gap, I think, of course.
It's a huge mismatch, isn't it? No matter who you're fighting. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't watch the fight because it was in the middle of the night here in the UK. I think I think did you watch it, and what were your impressions of it? Tell me about the fight because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I watched it. It was it was a spectacle, as they say, and they did a lot of lavish things. But to be honest with you, Mike Tyson looked like he was 58, and he looked like he wasn't moving so well. Um, Not saying anything against someone who is 58 that can train and get into shape for that, because I find that phenomenal. I think a lot of people younger than him would never be able to do that. But when you're comparing him to his opponent, it was just, worlds apart. Jake Paul was moving and kind of dancing around him. And he looked sluggish. He looked slow. He looked like he was stuck in the mud a little bit. Like, when you can't move your feet so well. And yeah, it was so disappointing in just again from nostalgia point of view. Like, I remember a lot of Tyson's fights. I grew up with him, and yeah, I remember those fun fights against like Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, etc. And it was painful to see, but thankfully he wasn't injured or hurt or anything. And I also am a little bit skeptical about the agreement. Was there an agreement between them not to hurt each other? Because I don't know. It seemed like they were just sort of going half.
Oh, really? I didn't
Half.
know that.
In
Re-
in in some respects, yes. Like, not. I don't think that they were intentionally doing it in the early rounds, but I think especially Jake Paul towards the end of the fight, I think he was not putting everything into it. And I am glad, really, because he could probably maybe have hurt Tyson in that case. So, but yeah, it's kind of strange, actually. Can you think of any other sports where you get such massive age gaps, and like golf's in the ages, especially in something so physical like boxing?
Yeah, that's a great question. In terms of physical, those kind of really physical sports, I can't really think of anything. I was going to say chess. It's not exactly physical.
Darts. Darts.
Yeah, I also
Yeah,
think it's interesting how the whole YouTuber boxing thing has almost
yeah,
surpassed boxing as a sport, hasn't it? I mean, for young people now, they're probably more interested and excited about the YouTuber boxing fights than the proper heavyweight title boxing fights. So that's quite interesting,
absolutely.
isn't it? How that YouTuber boxing has almost overtaken the sport of
Mm,
boxing.
100%. Do you know how much they got, or reportedly they got paid for this fight?
I'm guessing it's in the millions, but no, I don't know how much. What have you read about that then?
It's eye-watering, basically. Jake Paul will get 40 million for that
Wow,
fight, and Tyson will get 20 million for it. Yeah,
really?
yeah. So you're yeah, you're talking, you know, crazy money. As I said, it's eye-watering money, basically, because as you said, not even top notch professionals receive that kind of payday. Um, yeah, it's a massive payday for Tyson and for Jake Paul actually, and it's interesting, isn't it? Like what started out as just a kind of innocuous influencer boxing idea has snowballed into this massive machine of boxing fights that are happening, you know, every weekend or every month or something. And I know in England, you've got the promotion of Misfits. I think it's in with DAZN, the sports streaming um, site, and yeah, it seems like it's massive. So yeah, very very interesting. Now the question is, as an influencer yourself, would you be tempted to, you know, lace up the gloves and give it a go?
Honestly, absolutely not. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I think it would be embarrassing with me flouncing and flapping around a boxing ring because I've never boxed. I've never boxed ever. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's something you can quickly pick up and learn. And
Mm.
I would be. I think I'd be ridiculous at it. How about yourself, Jordan? Would you ever consider a boxing match?
Oh, 100% not. Definitely not. No, I would never. I would never do it, just from the point of view that I think I would get annihilated. And I love the sport. I'm a massive fan of the sport. I like MMA, UFC, and boxing. So I'm a big fan of both of them. But yeah, you've got to be really into it to do it. And some of these guys, they just they're they're very intense and focused on the training, and they say that they enjoy getting punched, and I can't imagine that. I can't imagine anyone enjoying the feeling of being punched in the face. um so for me, no, I'll give it a miss. I wouldn't mind doing like like the training and the pad work and things like that. I think that would be fun. But no, as a fight, definitely not.
I thought you were gonna say I wouldn't mind fighting you. Then for a second, when you I wouldn't mind fighting against you. I don't think anyone would want to see two sort of guys in their forties in boxing shorts trying to punch each other, would they? I mean, I get
No.
it with the younger guys, who look great and they're really training hard and they're able to show some skill in the ring, but yeah, I would have zero skill when it comes to boxing, so I would give that a wide berth. I think I would avoid that if I was ever offered a boxing match.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, it's really taken on, hasn't it? Like, the trend has just skyrocketed and become, uh, as I said before, this massive machine that is churning out fight after fight. And I must admit, I'm intrigued. I'm impressed. I think it's quite yeah, I think it's quite interesting. So I'm not against it. I think it's quite good for the sport. It brings new eyeballs to the sport, and yeah, it caters to a different audience, which is probably what boxing has been lacking in the previous 15 years or so. And yeah, I'm not against it. I think it could it can definitely live alongside the traditional boxing promotions, I think so. But yeah, it's certainly a fascinating prospect to see where it goes in the future, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess this probably leads us on nicely to our role play this week, doesn't it? Which
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
were talking before about doing a role play where I'm uh, I'm going to try and persuade you to take a fight. Yeah, you as a influencer, I'm going to be a
Yeah.
boxing promoter, and I'm going to try and convince you to take a fight against another creator.
It's a shame that you don't have the Don King hair. You could be Don King for today.
Could have done if I'd prepared a bit better. I could have got the wig. You'll have to imagine it going off screen. Okay,
That would be awesome.
should we jump into it? Should we go for it?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's start. So you're trying to convince me to take a an influencer boxing fight. Go for it.
Hi, Jordan. Nice to meet you.
Ah, nice to meet you too. Thank you for inviting me today.
Yeah, no problem. My name's Mike Bryson. I'm one of the boxing promoters here. We've been following your work on Facebook and on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram for quite a while now, and yeah, we think you'd be a perfect candidate to join us on December the 1st for our night of boxing.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I'm very interested. I think that it'll be something that I would, yeah, I would like to give it a go. Actually,
Oh, you are interested. I got a different impression from your email. I thought that you weren't interested. That's fantastic news. We've got an interesting opponent lined up for you.
right?
His name is Slavomir. He's from the Czech Republic. He teaches Czech language, so he's within the same education niche as you.
Ah, okay, okay. Ah, no, I to be honest, I'm only gunning for the big boys. So if you can get me KSI or someone like that, then I'm well in there. I want to give it a go, but no, I'm not really interested in any of the other influencers, to be honest.
Well, we think Sławomir is a perfect opponent for you. He's 7 foot tall. He's 22 years old, and well, I mean, he's been boxing pretty much all his life. I think his father used to put little dumbbells, sort of strap them to his wrists when he was small, and they used to train as a toddler even. So yeah,
Right.
he's been
Okay.
boxing many years, and we think he'd be a perfect opponent for you, actually, Jordan.
Yeah, but to be honest, the height difference seems to be a little bit of a concern. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to reach him because my you know my reach is not that long, and I'm only 5'7", at best on a good day. So I'm not sure that I'm going to even be able to reach this guy, let alone give him a good match.
You'll be fine. Body shots, body shots. You'll be
I,
fine.
I think the referee might even consider them to be low blows. I'm I'm gonna have to pass on this one, and unless you give me somebody that is a little bit more of a good matchup and someone that I can sort of compare myself to quite easily, then yeah, unfortunately it's going to be a no go from me.
We've got £50,000 to offer you, Jordan, for the fight, and yeah, Sławomir, as I said, he's ready to go. December the 1st. We'll pay for your flights as well. The flight is in the Czech Republic, in Sławomir's hometown as well. So
Right,
uh,
he's got hometown advantage, is he? Okay, Great.
Well, that
Uh,
doesn't count for much. I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
okay. Right. Um, so 50 grand.
50, yeah, 50 grand that we'll put down on the on this one. I mean, Sławomir, he's on a diet of raw steak at the moment
Hmm.
for the fight, and yeah, we'd love to sort of fly you over to the Czech Republic to meet him for a press conference, and then the fight on December 1st, a couple of weeks away.
So the 50 grand is, you know, what do I have to do? Is there any criteria for me to meet to that will basically guarantee that I get that 50 grand, or is if I just sign the contract, I'm going to get the 50K?
So it's a 50 grand pot, and we'll have to look at the contracts. Can't really say more at the moment about that.
Right. Okay. Um I'll I'll tell you what. I'll have a look over the contract, and I'll sit down and have a think about it, and yeah, I'll consider it. But yeah, I'm not going to give any guarantees or say yes at the moment. I need to study and have a look at the contracts in a little bit of a detail, of course.
We've got a great idea for the promo. Swavomir, he's known as the Bear. His nickname. He actually wrestles bears in his spare
Right.
time. So we were hoping to get you and Swavomir and two or three bears, put you in a room and see what happens for the social media side of things. How would you feel about that?
Incredibly uncomfortable, to be honest. I'm not sure that I would want to even consider doing that. Yeah, if he wants to do that, that's no problem. Whatever floats his boat. But no, I definitely don't want to be locked in a room with a few bears. Yeah, I would certainly say no to that one.
I broke character there because you were very convincing. You were really funny. Um, so I guess you wouldn't take a fight with a 7 foot sort of 21-year
Giant.
old bear wrestling raw steak eating giant. Then
He sounds phenomenal, to be honest.
bit of
Like,
bit of a specimen, I would say.
yeah,
Yeah,
he certainly sounds like a future world champion.
yeah. I think you were very sensible to err on the side of caution there. There's no way I would have agreed for any amount of money to do that one. So
No, I was hoping that you were going to say that you know uh, the 50 grand is yours as long as you sign the contract. So I was gonna basically say, so if I take a knee in the first round, it's no problem.
good idea. You could have done a runner. Could have done a runner.
Yeah, I would just basically get the 50 grand, take a knee, and that's it. I'm done.
See you later. Yeah, see you later. Good idea. Good idea. All right.
That's great. That's a very yeah, a fun exchange on trying to persuade someone to do something. Of course. So yeah, that's some really really interesting things to do indeed.
Great. Okay. Well, I guess it's time to do the English to take away section where we give back to our viewers and our listeners some of the language that has arisen and come up in the lesson. Should we? Should we
Absolutely.
go? We go one at a time?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please kick us off. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
oh, thank you. So the first one I've got is when you were talking about coffee choices and how
Mm,
there's too much choice on a menu in a coffee shop, and you said, "Oh, all of the different types of coffee, it's an absolute nightmare."
yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for when when something is either difficult or um, you can't. I'm going to use another phrase now. You can't wrap your head around it, meaning you can't understand it. Yeah, you can say it was, or it was an absolute nightmare. Yeah, yeah, it's a good. I think it's a good explanation of someone trying to choose something, but they're not used to it, they're not familiar with it, so it's scary and difficult, perhaps horrible for them to experience. Yes.
Yeah,
um
exactly. It's like if you go to another country, isn't it, and don't speak the language, and you're given a
mm,
menu in a restaurant, and you can't understand it. It becomes
yeah,
an absolute nightmare because you just don't know what you're ordering. You don't know what you're doing.
yeah, absolutely. And so another area where I think it's used quite nicely in is for transportation, when we get a delay in um, public transport or traffic jams, etc., because the effect it has on other things, we can say it's an absolute nightmare, because the delays affect so many other things, especially when you're traveling abroad by plane, the transfers, etc. It can affect those, of course. So I think that's a good place for it to be used as well.
Great, excellent. So yeah, absolute nightmare.
And one that I think a lot of people will ask, and native people tend to do this actually. It's one that you mentioned, you said earlier, talking about your going to visit your son. You said, I went up to London. Now, why do we use up or down in some situations? Because a lot of non native people will ask, why do we need to use up or down in sort of these sentences? Why can't we just say, I went to London, I went to Brighton, for example? Why do we use up?
It's a great question. I think I probably used it in that context because geographically it's going
Hmm.
up the country, it's going north to London. So I
Yeah,
think speaker choice, isn't it? I think probably my brain chose the word up because of the geography of it. But it's
absolutely.
interesting. We can also say like, oh, where are you going? I'm just going down the pub.
Yeah,
So I think we often use down if we're talking about a place that both the speaker and the listener know, so that there is shared knowledge there. Then we can use down. So I'm going down the shop.
yeah,
I'm going
yeah,
down the
yeah. Down
supermarket.
down the cafe. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
use that one.
So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think it works if both people know the place that the
yeah,
person's going to. It's interesting.
a- absolutely. Contrarily, though, to that is that if there is a hill involved, then it's easier because we know what we're talking about. We're going up the hill. So if the pub is located on top of the hill, we wouldn't say I'm going down the pub necessarily. You could say I'm going up to the pub, because of where it's situated. But yeah, it's a real confusing one, that one, because I use it naturally and don't think about it. I'm just going down the road to the shops. Do you want anything?
Exactly. I'd say it's informal as well, isn't it? It's quite casual as well.
Very, yeah, very,
Yeah.
very much so. But it's a great one if you can practice it and you can master it. It's definitely one that you can show off to your friends, that you've you're able to use real native phrases, of course. So yeah, I like that one because it's quite a unique one that we use.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, the next one's mine, isn't it? So the next one I've got is the word what's not. So this is something that you say a lot, and it's interesting. You say
Yeah,
I when you were talking about your lesson in Starbucks, and you said I set up my lesson and whatnot.
yeah.
But it's a nice little word that you can use. Again, it's casual, informal English, isn't it? And I guess it kind of means etc.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, you're yeah, absolutely. It just means like kind of like and other things, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's but yeah, you you can you can use it in so many situations. Yeah, it's a great word to use when when you want to include other stuff, but you don't want to list everything, of course. Um, yeah, I don't realize that I'm using it actually. It's
oh,
kind
it's a nice,
kind of
nice
cool,
word.
kind of cool to be sort of told that you're using it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice word. So there you go. So number three, what's not?
Whatnot. Yes, good. Um, the one that you used for the fight was hype. And again, this is a really trendy word to use, definitely among uh, the younger generation as well. Something is, you can say it's hyped up as well, or there's a lot of hype. Um, Yeah, this one's good. Just means there's a lot of interest or there's a lot of excitement for this kind of event. You can use it for yourself. You can say, "I'm I'm really hyped for," and then whatever it is you're going to do. Just meaning that you're very excited, you're really looking forward to it, of course. Yeah, I love that word actually that you use. Hype is a good one indeed.
Great. Okay, the next one I've got is a verb, and you
Uh-huh.
used it when you were talking about your ankle injury. Um,
Yep.
you said, I'm not doing legs at the gym at the moment because I don't want to aggravate my
Mm,
old injury. So, aggravate, to make worse.
yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we often, or majority of the time, we use it with injuries, right? There is there another situation where we would use aggravate?
Well, you could say if there, it can also mean to make someone angry, can't it? To aggravate. So, someone,
Mm,
so like a dog, for example, if you're out and there's I don't know, you're in a restaurant and there's a dog next to you, and you're sort of, oh yeah, hey, to the dog, and the dog, starts to growl. You could say, don't aggravate the dog, leave the dog alone. Don't make it
yes,
cross, don't make it angry.
yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, yeah, you might get bitten, or yeah, something might happen if you continue to aggravate the dog. Right?
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, that's a nice another situation for us to use it in. Absolutely. Cool. The next one that you said, I love this one. You said, I'm going to give that one a wide berth, meaning that you don't want to participate in a boxing match. This one is such again, a really, I would say, commonly used phrase that we use when we don't want to do something. we we say I'm going to give it a wide berth, meaning I'm going to stay away from that and be very far away from it, because I don't want to participate at all in that kind of activity or event. Yeah, I love that one. Give it a wide berth is definitely a good choice there.
Nice. The next one I had was
Yep.
um, we were talking about fitness. So obviously you've got fit, the antonym, the opposite, unfit, and then you used a nice word, peak, peak fit.
Mm,
He's at peak fitness, or I am at peak fitness, which means um, I'm the fittest that I've ever been. If you think about the word a peak, it means the
mm.
top, doesn't it, of a mountain,
Yep.
for example. So it's literally I'm at the top of my fitness. I'm as fit as a butcher's dog.
There we go. Lovely idiom there. Yes. To be very fit indeed. Awesome. Um, the next one that you mentioned, especially when you were talking about money, when you were offering me 50 grand to put up the gloves, um, you mentioned that you were going to put down the 50 grand. Now, of course, this is a phrasal verb, but why would we use put down when we're talking about money?
I'm really pleased that you mentioned phrasal verbs because you are, of course, the phrasal verb master, Jordan, expert in phrasal verbs. So to put down money, I guess I can see that phrasal verb quite visually. It's
Yes.
literally to grab the cash and place it in front of you on the
Yep.
table, on the negotiation table. So it's quite a
Yep.
visual one, isn't it? That
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's basically saying it's a guarantee. Like this is the money that we're going to give you. Here it is. You can see it. You can smell it. If you sign the contract, it's yours basically in that sense. Yeah, I love that one. I thought that was a really visual phrasal verb to use in that particular situation because we can use it for deposits on houses, right? We can say, I'm going to put
yeah,
down um, 20K as a deposit on a house, meaning that you're going to give £20,000 and then you're going to get a mortgage, a house loan for the rest of the money that you need to buy the house. So yeah, it's a really, really a good phrasal verb to use in that context, of course.
great. An amazing explanation as well from you, the phrasal verb master. Well done. That was brilliant with the deposit. That was fantastic. The last one I've got is also about money. So you said,
Mm.
it's we were talking about a very big amount of money, and you used the word eye-watering, an eye-watering amount of money, which I thought was a fantastic adjective to use. Eye-watering. It's so much money that literally, again, very visual. It makes you cry. It makes your eyes
Yeah,
water.
absolutely. Yeah. Um, I yeah. When I look at the numbers and think of like 40 million, I think of wow, that is an amazing amount of money, right? Yeah, you couldn't really imagine it. That's the thing that I think about.
Yeah.
Yes, cool. And the last one that you used just after we finished the role play is err on the side of caution. This is a lovely phrase to use, or to err on the side of caution, meaning you're not going to take the risk. You're going to play it safe, and you're not going to take a chance on something that is not guaranteed. And me fighting a 7 foot monster who wrestles and probably eats bears for breakfast, I don't know. Um, yeah, I wouldn't take that chance.
Good. Glad. I'm glad.
Yeah,
Um,
although
Brilliant.
if the age difference was the same for me, like Mike Tyson, you know, 31 years between him and Jake Paul. If the age difference was between 31 years between myself and my opponent, I fancy my chances because my opponent would be 8. So I'm quite confident in that retrospect.
Per- Perfect. Well, great. Well,
Fantastic.
that's the English to take away. So
There
we,
we
we hope
go.
that we hope that you've learned something, everyone listening to that. Um, just a reminder of our email address. So English to takeaway pod at gmail.com. Please send us your news stories. If you've found a news story that you'd like us to talk about, send us your English language questions and send us your suggestions for any future role plays that we do on the pod.
Awesome. Sounds fantastic. Fantastic stuff. That is the conclusion, the end of today's podcast. Thank you all very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you again soon, Richard. Thanks very much.
See you soon. Cheers.